Welcome back, everyone. For today's video, we are going to be taking a look at day number 1 of the Freestyle Chess Grand Slam Tour. Now, there's been a lot of drama, a lot of news surrounding this tournament, but at long last, the event is finally happening. There are 10 players playing in this event, including the 5-time world champion, Magnus Carlsen, as well as the current world champion, Gukesh from India. Now, the format is a round robin, meaning that all the 10 players will play each other in 9 games, and the top 8 players move on to the knockout portion, which features matches. The bottom 2 players are eliminated. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump right into the action. In the first game of the tournament, pretty typically speaking, I am playing against the 5-time world champion Magnus Carlsen with the black pieces. Now, you probably have noticed, of course, the pieces look like they're on different squares, and that is on purpose. When you play Fischer random chess, the pieces are arranged on the back rank in a random order, and you have to figure it out as you go. Alright, so round number 1, playing Magnus, and Magnus opens with the move d4, and now I play the move d5. Now, one thing about Fischer Random is that generally speaking, when you're playing with the black side, usually you are always looking to the mirror because you don't want to give your opponent too much space in the center of the board. Against d4, really the only 2 moves that make sense are either d5 or this move f5. So I play d5, the mirror, because of course I have a rook on the d file here in case white goes c4, and now Magnus plays the move f3. Now, already here, I was very surprised because this is not a move that I had considered, but keep in mind, since it is Fischer Random and it is not regular chess, the general maxims can be different. Now, normally you have a king on e1, not a bishop, so with the king on this square on e1, f3 is a terrible move, as Grandmaster Benjamin Feingold would say, but here, because you have a bishop, trying to play f3 and build a big white center here actually makes a lot of sense. So I play bishop b5 here, trying to prevent Magnus from playing e4, and this move is probably completely reasonable, but it is a tough move in a sense. Actually, now the computer says it's an inaccuracy and it gives white a big edge. Don't ask me why, but I play this move because now if white tries to go e4, building the big white center, white will lose the bishop on f1. Alright, so Magnus goes a4, I play bishop a6, and now he plays move knight to f2. Here I play knight g6, and Magnus plays knight d3. Now when Magnus plays knight d3, he's trying to go for either knight c5 or knight to b4 to go after this bishop on the rib. So here I decide to give up the bishop pair, I take the knight, Magnus recaptures, and now I play the move e5, and here I have a bit of a big black center. Magnus goes e3, and now I play the move knight to f6, Magnus plays rook b3, and here I play the move a6. Now Magnus goes g4, and this is where I spent 2 minutes before playing this move c5. Now I realized in my intro that one thing that I failed to mention about this first part of the tournament is that the time control is a very fast, rapid format, is 10 minutes with a 10-second increment, so you don't want to fall too far behind on the clock. Now c5 is probably the best move, but it's a move that I think I should have played a little bit quicker, but being as it was the first game of the day, I used a lot of time. Magnus takes the pawn, I recapture the queen, and now he plays move knight e2. Now here I play the move bishop to d6, and this is a move that I kind of regret. I actually felt like during the game, maybe I should have played king to a7 with the idea of playing something like h3 and rook a8 to have the rooks in the center of the board, but at the end of the day, I ended up playing bishop d6. Magnus goes knight g3, and now I play knight to e7, stopping white from playing knight f5. You may be wondering, why didn't I castle my king to the king side? But if I do this, after knight to f5 here, the knight hits the pawn and the bishop. Let's say I play rook d8, now there's bishop b4, and it's already a very difficult spot for black to be in. Okay, so I play the move knight to e7, taking away knight f5, and now Magnus plays rook c3, and here I go queen a7. Now this is not a move that I wanted to play because the queen is kind of awkward here on the edge of the board. Also, I can't castle my king after this move because now the king would be going through the check on the c file. So I go queen a7. Magnus plays the move a5 here, trying to lock my queen in jail on the queen side, and now I play the move bishop b4. We get rook b3, I take on e1, and now I play the move knight c6. Now this is another situation where at this point in the game, I am up a minute on the clock, but I spend 2 minutes before playing the very natural knight c6. Now this is a move that I probably should have played in 5 seconds, but first game of the day, and of course there is a thing called the Magnus effect as well, so I spend a bit too long. Now we get the move g5, I play knight d7, and here Magnus goes bishop a3. Now I play the move queen to c5, and Magnus plays knight to h5, and here I play the move queen f8. Now you will notice that I'm finding the absolute best moves, but I am down a lot of time on the clock here. I'm down 3 minutes, so even though I'm finding the right moves, I'm spending too much time, and there are situations where you need to be more practical. So Magnus goes f4 here. I play knight to c5. We get rook to b6. And now I play the move king a7. Magnus trades the pawns on e5, and now he plays move queen b4. Now, what the computer wants me to play here is a very unusual move, f6 here, reinforcing the big black center. This is a move that if I have 3, 4, 5 minutes, maybe I can find. With seconds left on the clock, I just gotta go. So I go king a7, we get the trade. Magnus plays queen b4, and here I go rook b8. Now, you're probably wondering, why can't I play a move like knight c6? The reason I can't play knight c6 here is that white would sack the rook, with rook takes knight, and after I take back, there's queen to b6 here, checkmating the king on a7. All right, so here I play rook b8, we get the move knight takes pawn, and now I play the move knight c6. Magnus goes queen a3, and here I play the move d4. Magnus takes on d4, I take back, and here he plays the move knight f5. Now, you will notice that the evaluation bar has come down a lot here. Black is very much in the game, but this is where I spend about 5 seconds to play the move rook a4 here. I'm worried about getting too low on time. If I had played the move rook to d5 here, I think there's a very good chance that I would have saved this game, because now after a move like let's just say white goes king a2 here, I can play knight to d3, and there's all kinds of pressure on the pawn on a5, as well as the rook on b6. So not Magnus. In this position, I play the move rook to a4 fairly quickly, and this is a serious error because now there's the move queen to g3. Now, unfortunately, during the game, the moves that I saw were queen c3, queen e3, and queen f3. I simply missed this idea of queen g3 followed by either queen g1 or f2 to line up threats on the diagonal. Now, the reason I mention that is if Magnus had played the move queen to c3, which is actually what I expected, now I can play the move rook takes rook, takes a knight to a4, forking the queen and the rook. And if white plays the move queen to f3, another option here, now I have the move queen to d8. There's all kinds of pressure on the d file here. I can take the rook on a4, a5 is weak, and who knows what is going to happen. But Magnus finds the move queen g3, and this is also where it's very important to note the time usage. If I had more time, I'm still very much in the game. But because Magnus is up 40 to 50 seconds on the clock here, he's really trying to push me around. So we get queen g3. I trade the rooks, and now I play the move queen to d8, and this is simply an error after which I'm probably losing the game. Now, in this position, I could have played the move queen to e8, which is slightly better here. When I went queen to d8, my thought was from d8, I potentially hit the pawn on a5, as well as d1 and d5. But after queen to d8, I missed the move which Magnus finds, which is queen to g1, attacking the knight on this long diagonal, but also stopping the queen check on d1. Here I play the move queen d5, Magnus goes b4, and now I play the move queen e5. Now, if I were to move the knight, let's just say knight e4, for example, white has a classic checkmate by sacking the rook, with rook takes pawn, and after king takes, there's queen b6, checkmating the king on a6. So I play queen e5, Magnus goes king a2, and now I play the move rook to c8, and this is a very tricky move by me, trying to keep the game alive here. What I'm hoping is that Magnus will play the move pawn takes knight, which he does in fact, and now after queen c3, suddenly I'm hitting the pawn on a5, the pawn on c2, and the bishop on h3 all at the same time, and it feels like I'm back in business. Magnus plays rook b3, and here I play the move queen takes pawn on c2. Probably I should have played the move knight b4, but with such little time left here, I'm trying to play on instinct. So I go queen c2, Magnus plays king a3, and now I play this move knight takes a5, and this is a serious error. In this position, if I were to play the move rook to e8, ignoring everything with the idea of the double stack on the second rank, black is actually better here. Now, the main reason I didn't play this is, frankly, I didn't have time to calculate lines. The second reason that I assume there's probably something like a knight d6 followed by rook to b7, or something like bishop g2, or maybe even rook b7. Alas, because I have no time here, I now play the move knight takes a5, Magnus checks, and here I go king b8. Magnus plays queen g3, I play rook c7, and now he plays the move rook c3, and this is where I make a big mistake by playing the move queen to b1. In this position, if I were to play the move queen to d1 with the idea of checking the king on a1, computer says the game should end in a draw, and it's very important to note why this move queen to d1 is better than what I played in the game. Now, the reason is that if I go queen d1, white does not have the option of knight d4 here because it simply hangs the juicer, and I'm winning the game. But when I go queen to b1, now Magnus can play knight to d4 here because the queen does not attack the knight. And even though it looks like I have all kinds of checks on the white king, shockingly, the king simply runs away. Let's say I go check, king to b4, for example, queen b2. White can now go king takes knight, and after king to a7, there's simply the move queen to d3. By the way, I did see this during the game. And after check king a4, I cannot checkmate this king on the rim. The rook, the knight, and the queen are simply too close to the white king. So I play the move b6 here, just desperation time, and Magnus plays queen d6. Here I play check, king b4, and now I play the move knight to b7, trying to attack the queen on d6, and if white takes the knight, now I have queen takes c3, winning the game. Probably I should have played queen to b1, and after knight to b3, there's queen to e4, king a3, and knight takes c6, and at least here the game goes on, but honestly, white has an extra piece here. The king is actually very safe on a3, and most likely I will lose. So I play knight b7 instead, and I overlook a very basic tactic here. Magnus goes queen f8 check, king a7, and now after the move knight to b5, forking the king and the rook here, I resign the game because if I take the horse on b5, Magnus has to move rook to a3, checking the king and attacking the queen, and after takes, white is a queen for a rook, and white will win the game. So, a very, very tough first round game. I end up losing, but the good news is, as I mentioned at the start, this round robin format, 8 of the 10 players, 80% of the field will move on. So tough loss in the first round. I felt that I had chance in this game, but my time usage was not there. So I would draw the second round against Alireza Firouzja, and that would start a streak of 3 draws in a row before the 5th and final game of the day, where I'm playing with the black pieces once again against Gukesh D from India, the new world chess champion. Now, different position setup here. We have all these pieces, knight on h8, queen g8, rook f8, and I thought that actually having analyzed the position for a few minutes with Fabiano Caruana and Vincent Keimer, as well as Yavokir Sindarov, that I would really do well in this position. But even if you have 10 minutes to analyze before the games begin, in most cases, you're out of this little bit of prep that you do going into the game. So here, Gukesh plays f4, I play the move f5, and now we get the move d3. Now, this position, I played the move b6 after a little bit of a think. I recall that I think Fabiano thought that d5 with e6 was a little bit better as it stops white from playing e4 here. But ultimately, I played the move b6 because I want to go for a fianchetto with the bishop on b7, spying long diagonal. But also after knight g3, bishop b7, e4, g6, a4. Here I play the move c5, and not only do I have the fianchetto with the bishop on the diagonal, but now with the pawn on c5, it's sort of like a fianchetto Sicilian. So Gukesh plays a5. Now I take the pawn on e4, we get takes, and here I play the move knight to d6. Now this is a move that I thought was good at the time, but I actually kind of regretted it later in the game here. Computer wants to move g5, and the game is sort of spiraling out of control due to the 2 Bs on the diagonals. I thought even queen g7 here should be fine, maybe knight f6 as well, but ultimately I played knight d6 to attack the pawn on e4. Gukesh plays bishop a2, queen g7, and now he plays the move e5. Now, even here, I still did not sense the danger in the position, but once I went knight f5, he traded and played the move bishop to e3. Suddenly, I realized that white has much more space. There's a big spatial advantage in the center of the board here. White's maybe attacking on the queen side, but not only that, white can also castle the king and get the rook on the d file in the next turn. So something has gone badly astray for me, but the good news here is that it is still a very quick game, and I start to pick up my pace and move quicker. So I play bishop g7. We get castles, I castle, and now Gukesh plays move knight to f3. Here I play the move h6. As you'll notice, I'm still maintaining this nice cushion. I've only used a minute and a half on the clock, and it's because I know I'm worse here, but I want to channel my inner Nepo. So Gukesh plays the move bishop takes pawn here, and this is a great sack. Now Gukesh spent a lot of time before playing this move. I kind of suspected he would sack the bishop, and initially I was not very concerned because I thought that after takes, we'll see the line that I play in the game here, but the line that I thought was fine initially was queen g6, e6, king b8, takes, d6, but as soon as I saw the move queen b5, keep in mind this is the game, I thought I was losing. So therefore, after queen takes c5 here, I spend 3.5 minutes before playing the move queen g6, and this is where I will tell you guys that if I played the move queen g6 and I'd been a little bit sharper and spotted the idea that will occur in the game and saved that time, I think I would have won. So I play queen g6. Gukesh does play e6, now I play king to b8, and here we get the move knight e5. Now, during the game, I think both of us felt there probably was something for white, but we ended up missing the winning line here, which is pawn to a6. Gukesh and I would analyze after the game, and we didn't even think about this idea then. So Gukesh plays knight e5. I trade, I go d6, and now he plays move queen b5. Now, initially, as I said at the start, when I was calculating the line before using time, I thought I was just cooked here. I thought that after a6, queen b6, for example, I was losing, although apparently I have queen e8, still with bishop d5, queen b5, which I did not see. I did not see this. But then, as I mentioned, I saw that in the position, I could play the move queen to e8 right away, offering the trade of the queens and stopping white from playing a6. Gukesh goes queen b4, and now I play the move king to a8, and at this point, now I'm up a piece. Mind you, the knight is kind of in the rim. It's out of the game. It's going to take a lot of time before it gets back in, but still, if I can cover up my king on a8, I do have an extra horse. So we got the move a6. I play bishop c6, Gukesh plays rook d3, and now I play the move rook b8. We get queen a3, and here I play rook g6. Now, on top of having an extra piece in this position, I also have a big advantage on the clock here, and things are looking very peachy. So we get rook c3. I play bishop e4, and now Gukesh plays the move bishop c4 here, and this is where I miss the golden opportunity to win the game. In this position, I play the move knight g6. I should have simply played d5 here, and after white moves the bishop to, let's say, e2, I can simply take the pawn on e6 here, and I'll bring the knight to f7 and d6. I have a nice wooden shield on e4 as well, and all roads lead to Rome. But again, remember, I'm having a bad event. I'm struggling. My time usage hasn't been great, and so I end up seeing the boogeyman, and I've just played the move knight to g6. Now we get g3, and again, I miss my opportunity when I play king b8. If I play d5 here, followed by rook e6, I win the game. But I go king b8, trying to dodge any threats on the diagonal, and now Gukesh plays the move rook to d1. Here I play queen c6, we get bishop to e2, I play queen to a8, and now Gukesh plays the move rook d4. Now what's amazing about this position is the computer says after queen to a4, white is actually much better, primarily due to the fact that this horse is not in the game. The horse is dominated, it has no squares available to jump to, and after I play a move like rook to d8 here, white is a cute mate with queen to d7, sacking the queen. If I take, there's a threat of queen as well as rook c8 checkmate, and I will lose the game very soon. Let's say I play a move like bishop c6. Now white can go queen to d4, and suddenly the queen is sneaking in from behind to g7, attacking the knight, attacking the pawns every which way, and actually here, black is in real trouble. So, Gukesh plays rook d4 instead, I play rook c8, and now we get to move rook dc4, and I will give Gukesh a lot of credit here, because he spends nearly all his time. He plays the move rook c4 with 5 seconds on the clock. Already here, I thought that without rook c4, I'd probably win the game here, and as time was ticking down, I thought I would win, but he found this move, and this really speaks to the resilience of Gukesh, showing that he has great nerves and great control, because he was down to 5 seconds, very easy to panic and just blunder, but he finds the best move in the position. So here I play the move rook c6, and now we get the move queen a5. Apparently, I should have traded the rooks on c4 right away and then played queen d5, because after rook c6, apparently rook takes c6, takes queen to b4, rook b6, and queen a4 is winning. I guess it's because after rook c6, there's check, king c8, and then apparently the very unnatural human move bishop to d3, undermining the bishop on e4, and there are all kinds of threats to infiltrate with the white queen. Alas, Gukesh ends up playing the move queen to a5. I trade the rooks. I go queen to d5 here. And after queen to a4, we end up repeating moves. I play rook c6. I have to stop the checkmate here. Initially, by the way, in this position, I wanted to play the move bishop to d5. But now white can simply go rook c3, followed by queen to a4, or a bishop d3 / g4. 1 second. Excuse me, you guys. I had to sneeze, so I do apologize for that. But anyway, so in this position, this was my initial idea, but then I play queen to d5 here, trying to activate the queen. Gukesh plays the move queen to a4, and now here I play the move rook c6. Now you might be thinking, why not queen b5? Stop the idea of queen e8 checkmate, but after queen b5, white can sack the rook with rook to c8 check, creating the fossil here, and after I take the rook, he wins my queen and wins the game. So I go rook c6, we get queen b4, and now we start repeating moves here, back and forth, and ultimately, after rook b6, the game ends in a draw here. If white were to play the move queen c3, trying to checkmate, now I can take the pawn on e6 here. I cover both the c8 square and the h8 square, and at this point, white is going to lose. So, the game ends peacefully with a draw here after 38 moves. Not the best day ever for me, certainly. I end up with 4 draws and 1 loss, which means I'm -1. The good news, however, is that there are 2 players who are on 1 point out of 5, Vladimir Fedoseev and Levon Aronian, who are both struggling mightily. And there are 4 of us who are on 2 points out of 5, tied for places 5 through 8. So, if I can be a little bit sharper tomorrow, win a game or 2, it's almost guaranteed that I will be in the top 8 and move on to the next portion of the event. So it's not great, but luckily this is a format which can benefit me. So I'm simply going to try to be sharper, maybe play some more Fisher random games online, see what happens, but it is what it is. I would also point out that one of the players who is on 2 points out of 5 is the 5-time world champion Magnus Carlsen, who despite winning 2 games, including one against me, he lost 3 games. He lost to Yavokir Sindarov, Vladimir Fedosev, and I believe Fabiano Caruana, if I'm not mistaken. But 3 losses, so Magnus actually has the same score that I do. That's definitely not what Magnus was hoping for either, so it's been a tough day for some of the favorites. All right, well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this first recap from the Freestyle Chess Grand Slam Chess Tour being held in Weissenhaus, Germany. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure that you smash that subscribe button below, and we'll be back with a recap tomorrow after the second day of the tournament. See you guys soon. Auf Wiedersehen, and enjoy the rest of your evening. See you. Bye.